Hello and welcome to Hockey Talk. My name is Jaret Schneider, along with Jordan Peca. Jordan, it's been a fun week in the NHL. We're starting to see some teams. You know, some of them separate, some of them fall off. We're starting to see a little bit more of a structure rather than just loosey-goosey scramble.
Absolutely.
So I'll give it to you right away. I mean, I know it's your hometown team. They got a pretty important match tonight with Detroit.
Yeah, so Ottawa going into Detroit. It's the first meeting of the season since Alfie switched teams, and it was kind of a big thing. I was in Ottawa when the news happened that he was being shipped off, that he signed somewhere else. There was a lot of reaction happening in the city. People were upset. People were happy for him because they realized that the Sens now have a chance to really grow some players and win in the future. But Detroit has a better chance of winning now, while Alfredsson is still playing. And I think that's all he really wanted, was the chance to win. So I think tonight's game is going to be really, really emotional, especially for Alfredsson. I heard a bit of an interview he did a couple days ago about coming in, and he said that he was almost a little nervous about it. Wasn't sure exactly what to expect and how the fans would react, how the crowd would react. But he's playing in Detroit, so Detroit's at home tonight, which I think it'll make it a little easier on him. And it should be a really good match. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty excited for this game, too. I mean, I know Alfie, he's probably right now a better fit in Detroit as far as helping their team rather than letting Ottawa grow a little bit more, put an extra forward spot in. The only thing I wish it was in Ottawa. I know it's in Detroit at the Joe Louis. I wish it was in Ottawa. Man, it would be a great game. Like, we saw Peyton Manning return to the Colts the other night on the weekend, and that was just a fun game to watch. Just being a sports fan, it was very exciting to watch that. The Alfie game, it'll kind of be like the same thing. I mean, it's only a road game, but it'll be emotional for him. We'll see how things go. I think it'll be an exciting game. We'll get to that one in picks too. I mean, that'll be a little bit of a fun game. I know another thing that you had mentioned to me, you sent me in a text earlier today, is his points in Ottawa. It's kind of an exciting thing and kind of a standpoint. It's kind of a nice thing to see.
Yeah, well, he played 1,108 games in Ottawa, and his point total was 1,108 points. So it was a perfect point per game player in Ottawa, and it's not like he was point per game over half a season or a couple years. That was point per game numbers over about 13 seasons. That's really impressive. That's really hard to do. And so I think for the last few years, Alfredsson was really more of a mentor for the young guys, and people kind of forgot how integral he was to the team in years past. And I think now that he's gone, they've started to notice it a lot.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, over 1,000 points, like you said. I mean, it's amazing. Exactly a point per game for over 1,100 games is impressive. I mean, to have over 1,000 points is unreal. I mean, you're a phenomenal hockey player if you've got over 1,000 points in the NHL, and obviously he's not done yet. He's got 1,108. I think he's going to have a big game tonight, actually. I expect them to have a big game. I don't know I think Ottawa could still squeak out a win or something like that. I mean, it could go either way, but he'll have a big game. I think he'll have a couple of points.
Absolutely.
It'll be nice to see.
And they were talking to Paul McLean, the Sens head coach, earlier, and he was saying that he's just been telling his players throughout the week and leading up to this game that they're going in to play Detroit. They're not going in to play against Alfredsson, but I think it'll be interesting to see how much his words actually affect the guys, because you can tell the team that it's not about Alfredsson, we're just going to play Detroit, but it's up to the guys on the ice to actually accept that and not kind of get caught up in the moment of reconnecting with Alfredsson and seeing him in his new team. So it'll play out pretty interestingly, I think.
Yeah, and it's a divisional game too. I mean, it's a big game. It's a divisional game. These teams are going to be chasing each other all year. They're going to be playing each other, 5-6 times, whatever it is. He'll get his opportunities to go back to Ottawa too, which is kind of nice. So I think it'll be a good game and be an exciting game to watch for sure. Maybe switching gears here a little bit, we'll go to the other Ontario team, Toronto. They've been playing very well this year. I like what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They've lost a couple of games, but they've been very well. Another thing, Kessel. I mean, he had a huge hat trick the other night. I think he was very impressive, and he's been good all year.
Yeah, and that's a big thing for him. Ever since he moved out of Boston into Toronto, people have expected phenomenally huge numbers from him, and for a couple of years, he had trouble kind of matching the expectations people had. But the start right now has been fantastic for him, and especially with the hat trick there, I think he's put a lot of his critics to rest, at least for now.
Yeah, I remember last year it took him, I can't even tell you exactly how many games it was before he got his first goal. This year, obviously, a little bit different. Came in hot. The whole team came in hot. They were undefeated. They were like 5-0 or something right off the bat. They looked great. They've been looking great lately as well. I mean, they've been beating some teams. They've been beating some tough teams. They've been beating some easy teams. They've had a good year. I think of them as actually, I like them in that division. I like them as a favorite in that division. I know they got some powerhouses. They got Detroit, Boston, and Montreal all to deal with, as well as Ottawa. And, you got Tampa in there as well now. It's a bit of a crazy division. It's a full division. It's a thick division. But I like what they're doing. I like to see them moving forward. I think they have a shot at winning the division. I like what they can do in the playoffs. I mean, they got their playoff experience in last year, so they're ready for it this year. The expectations are higher there this year. They got some guys back earlier on before the season started, like Franson had re-signed. They did some major offseason moves. They got Clarkson back. I know that was another one we're going to talk about. He's coming back now rather from his suspension.
After being suspended in the posted preseason for hopping off the bench and joining in a fight. So his suspension's finally up, and he'll make his debut for Toronto tonight. That was a big move for them when they picked up David Clarkson, add some depth to their lineup, add a bigger body that can score some goals, and they needed someone like that on their team.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Yeah, I know. I think he'll be a huge addition to that team. He's exactly what they need up front. I mean, They've got lots of the tools already. Don't get me wrong. They're winning games. They've got the goaltending. And the best thing about their goaltending situation is they're battling. It's almost like a Luongo Schneider where both guys just plays unreal all night. Like Reimer had a couple of great games. It seemed for a while that it was Bernier who was the number one, and then all of a sudden Reimer came back and stole a shutout, a 30-save shutout or something. Yeah. Phenomenal. And all of a sudden they're both thrown back into it, and it's even again. So I like what Toronto's doing. They've done some good things. Sticking with the Canadian teams, we've got some rookies. We're about that 8-9 game threshold now for some teams. We're starting to see some of the rookies go. And in Calgary, we've got Sean Monahan, who I personally would like to see him go back to the Ottawa 67s, but I know he's staying with the Flames.
He's staying with the Flames, and I think it's a move the Flames have to make because he's played fantastically in his 9-game stint up here in the NHL. He's played well enough to earn himself a spot on pretty much any NHL team, and the Calgary Flames desperately need someone like that. I too think it might be more beneficial for him to go back to Ottawa, play one more year in junior, and really kind of hone the skill set he has, amongst more guys his own age and players he's more familiar with. But I don't think the Calgary Flames as an organization can make that call right now. They need him, and he's playing well. So we'll see if he can keep it up over an 82-game season.
Yeah, they're in a tough situation, I think. I mean, it's obviously like this when you pick, super high in the first round, where you're going to get a good player, and then you're not obviously going to have the best season right away. I think they're in a tough spot because you look at, for example, look what Edmonton's done over the past few years. They've got their first overall picks. They brought them in right away. Not saying they haven't played well. They have played well. But you just look at the overall spot where the Edmonton Oilers are in right now. I hate to see, I'm not a huge fan of the Flames, but I'd hate to see them go into that and maybe get a few first overall picks here over the next little while and end up, shooting themselves in the foot by playing Sean Monahan a little bit too early. He's been phenomenal this year. Absolutely, he's been one of the top rookies between him and a couple other guys. Definitely have a shot at the Calder, especially if he does stay the whole year, which he's going to. I'd personally just like to see him go back. I've always been a big fan of it, sending him back for at least 1 year. You saw what Winnipeg did with Mark Scheifele, for example. They sent him back, had phenomenal years in Barrie. Last year he was outstanding in Barrie, had a couple of injuries, things like that, had a great year in Barrie. Now he's back with the club. Not so much in a superstar role right now, but he's playing where he should be. I like that they sent him back for a couple of years. He's going to be a future player for the Jets, and I would hate to see Calgary do that with Monahan.
Absolutely. And sticking with a couple of different rookies, what about Nathan MacKinnon? Again, he's another one that's played phenomenally well on a team that can use his skills. Should they keep him or not?
And I hate to use the first overall thing because, Nathan MacKinnon was one of those guys coming into the season where he's been one of the top number one overalls of the past few years. I know he's been kind of rated higher than some guys like even Taylor Hall and Nugent Hopkins. He was not Crosby-esque, but things like Stamkos and Tavares. He was up there, and he's been watched since he was in bantam age hockey. So I think, I like where Colorado's at. Colorado's winning though too, right? They're 8-1 this year. They're having a phenomenal season. I like Patrick Waugh's. I know McKinnon's going to stay for the whole year. Patrick Waugh's going to keep everything the way he is. Everything's been going well. The goaltenders have been phenomenal in Colorado. McKinnon's played, outstanding. He's played 8 games. He's got 7 points on the year. He's only got 1 goal, but he's got 6 assists. He's playing a third line role too, which was what I kind of like. He's got his, he's getting his 15 minutes ice time a night, but he's playing on the third line with Jamie McGinn and P.A. Parento, and they fit very well. That line meshes very well, the three of those guys together. So on the flip side, I said I'd like to see Sean Monahan go back. In the long run, maybe McKinnon, it would be nice to see him go back. But personally, I think he's better off in Colorado than Monahan is in Calgary because of the team situation. Obviously, Colorado's worse than Calgary was last year. But Colorado's in a different spot right now than Calgary is. Yes, Calgary's won a few games, but there's 3-2 or something like that. So I like McKinnon staying with Colorado. What about you? What do you think about McKinnon?
I think it's worth him staying. The Monahan thing in Calgary's keeping him because they're desperate for a player of his caliber. Whereas if you look at Colorado, McKinnon's on the third line. He's not playing huge minutes. He's getting experience, and I think that's going to help him a lot in the long run.
Which is beneficial to him, right?
Exactly.
Yes, you want your superstars playing a lot and learning, but I think in a third line role playing 15 minutes, that's a lot of ice time. You're putting Monahan in there. shouldn't say specifically what he's getting, but I'm assuming he's getting closer to 20. And
Absolutely.
he's got the spotlight on him, right? He's getting his points. He's getting the media attention now for getting his points. So if he ever starts to decrease, it's going to be like, oh, what happened to Sean Monahan? If McKinnon starts to decrease, there won't be a huge spotlight on him. So I think just personally for the team, it'll be better for McKinnon to stay with Colorado than Monahan to stay with Calgary, even though Monahan statistically is having a better year than McKinnon is so far. So anyway, that's how that goes. I mean, there's other rookies that we could debate staying and going. It's almost too early. Some teams have only played their 8 games, so some of them get, or 7 games rather. Some of them get a few more games. But, maybe just jumping into the Jets. I know we talked a little bit about Scheifele. The Jets, they had a tough game last night against Washington. How would you say they're kind of going overall?
Washington's game was really tough. They took it to overtime and they lost. But Washington's a strong, tough team. And so to take it to overtime, even if you get the loss, they should be really happy with the way they played.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know the media was all saying that they had a good game too. I mean, lots of times they've had a few games before they played Nashville and Minnesota, I think, and they didn't play very well. They played very well against a good Washington hockey club, and they took it to a shootout. So things like that were good. But maybe we'll jump into picks now.
Let's do it.
We only got a few minutes left. Things weren't so great for me last week. Things were better for you. We only did 6 games because we did it on a Thursday. We're on a Wednesday now, so we only did 6 games. But I believe I went 1-5. So I had a terrible week. You, on the other hand, if I can remember quickly, you were 3-3. So throughout 3 weeks now, you're 11-9. I'm 9-11. So you jump ship over me. You're 2 games above me right now.
For the first time.
For the first time. It's not going
Feels
to be
good.
like that for long. I'm going to come back.
top.
I'm going to come back.
All right, here's your chance.
So anyway, we're going to start things off with today. We're going to do 8 games. We'll try and go back to Thursday next week. So we'll try and fit 8 in here. Tonight we got Ottawa in Detroit.
As much as I like the Sens, I think Detroit's the tougher team. They're the better team. I'll take Detroit at home.
You know what? I like that pick. I mean, Detroit is a very good team at home. They were the only team that beat Colorado. Colorado's played very well defensively, but Detroit was able to find a way through it. I like Detroit as well, just on home ice. With Alfie playing phenomenal, it's hard to not pick Detroit. Tomorrow we'll wrap things. We'll go into a huge game, I think. An awesome game to watch. San Jose and Boston.
This San Jose-Boston could definitely be possibly a Stanley Cup kind of style of game, East versus West, 2 very strong teams. Boston, I like what they're doing. They're a strong, gritty team. They have been for a few years. I'll take San Jose, though, actually. They've been playing phenomenal.
Yeah, you know what? I like San Jose as well. I mean, Boston plays very well defensively. They haven't scored a whole lot this year. San Jose, on the flip side, has scored an absolute ton, and they've played well defensively. Niemi has played phenomenal. I just like San Jose in this game based on they're just going to outscore Boston. They're just going to... I mean, Boston's great at shutting down, but I think if San Jose can put 3 in the net, they'll win the game easily. So I'm going to take San Jose as well. Then we got Vancouver and St. Louis on Friday.
Well, that's a fantastic West Coast matchup. I think Vancouver's finally recovering from the whole Corey Schneider-Luongo thing. They have their set goalie. They're playing well. But I think St. Louis is just a little bit better at this point in time. I'll take the Blues.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to agree with you actually on a third straight time. I have a tough time picking Vancouver to outplay St. Louis. I mean, St. Louis is at home in this matchup too. Vancouver, they've had some good games. They've had some bad games. They've been there. St. Louis has played very strong. They're a solid team overall. I think they are probably one of the most overall teams in the league from goaltending, defense, and forwards. They're a complete team, so I like St. Louis. I know they were a cup contender at the beginning of the year by a lot of people. I like St. Louis. We got Pittsburgh and Toronto the following night.
Oh, Pittsburgh-Toronto. That's good. I think a couple years ago this could have been a pretty one-sided match. Toronto's played really, really well lately, but I'll take Pittsburgh.
Taking Pittsburgh, taking the powerhouse Pens. Pittsburgh's played very well. I believe they're 7-2 on the year. Lost to Colorado when they lost an earlier game. You know, Crosby is absolutely tearing away. He's gonna separate. I guarantee he'll separate. It's phenomenal. I'll take Toronto in this one just because Toronto's at home. I mean, Toronto's shown up against good teams this year. They've shown up and played phenomenal games against good teams. So I'll just take Toronto on home ice. Then we got on Sunday, Winnipeg at Colorado.
Oh boy, the Jets have a lot of good things going for them right now. But Colorado's just played fantastically. So I hate to do it, but I'll take Colorado.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to take Colorado in this one. I know it's going to be a fun game. I'll actually see it live in hand. It'll be kind of exciting to go down there and check it out. But, Winnipeg and Colorado, it should be a good game.
Absolutely.
Winnipeg, they'll show up. I mean, it's a divisional game. It's in Colorado. They're on the road. I think Winnipeg will play well. But I like Colorado at home in this one, so I'm going to take them as well. The next night, the following night, we got Montreal at the Rangers.
Oh, the Rangers, they've been a bit of a letdown so far this season. I think their fans are a little disappointed with how they started. And Montreal started phenomenally. I'll take the Canadiens.
Take Montreal. Montreal, yeah, they've been playing all right. I mean, they lost to the Oilers the other night. It's tough to say, 5-6 days down the road what it's going to be like again. I'll take the Rangers in this one just because home ice, Madison Square Garden. I think the Rangers can have a bounce back. I mean, they got a good coach there. Vigneault's going to turn that team around at some point. I think they're going to end up winning some games again. Thursday, we got Tampa at New Jersey.
Tampa at New Jersey. New Jersey, another bit of a disappointment so far this year. So I'll take Tampa. Stamkos again playing phenomenally. The team looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. They've played well. I mean, the goaltending's been all right this year. Ben Bishop and Anders Lindback have been a good 1-2 punch kind of sort of save for the two of them. I like Tampa as well. New Jersey, I don't really know. I mean, everything's kind of just falling apart. They're kind of like Philly rather. They just kind of, I don't know. So I'll take Tampa as well in this one. And then the last night, the 8th night, we got Boston in Pittsburgh.
Holy smokes! There's a huge Eastern rivalry, Boston and Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh can take it. I think they can. They're playing really well right now, and I think they just have the numbers to light up Boston a little bit.
You know what? I think I'll take Boston in this one just because, I mean, they're going into Pittsburgh. It was an Eastern Conference final last year. It very well could be an Eastern Conference final again this year. I'll take Boston for argument's sake. I mean, defensively, they play phenomenal. We saw Pittsburgh get absolutely shut down by the defense of Colorado the other night. 34-shot save shutout for Jaguar in a 1-0 hockey game. I think Boston could end up doing that to Pittsburgh. I mean, it's tough to say. It's over a week in advance, but I'll take Boston that one just for argument's sake. So other than that, I mean, we got 8 games picked out. Should be 8 great games for sure.
Absolutely. It'll be a phenomenal week in the NHL.
Yeah, there'll be some great hockey this week. Again, any final words, any wrap-up, anything like that?
No, I'm just excited to see, of course, Detroit-Ottawa tonight. That's really the game I'm looking forward to. And then throughout this week, we got some fantastic hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that'll pretty much wrap it up for this week. We'll hop back again next week. Hopefully we get some more topics. We'll get some more stuff to talk about, and we'll try and do a little bit better next week. But for Hockey Talk, right here on Shaw TV, thanks for watching.